we're interacting with survivors all the time. Some of them are our great friends, Jessica and I's mutual friend. And one in particular shares her story that from 11 to 15, in her words, I was forced to sleep with between 7 and 15 men every single day. And she said by the time I was 12 years old, I had already been raped 4,000 times. Those are her words.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Dads on Purpose, the podcast. I'm your host, Josh Ashford, and as always, got the big homie KB, Mr. Kevin Bergantz. KB, how you doing, man?
What's up, baby? And we back. Yes, as always, I'm so excited to be here on Dads on Purpose podcast with my boy Josh. What's up, baby? What's going on?
Look, you almost forgot the name of the show.
Almost.
How long we been doing this? This episode 68? It's cool.
Nah, man.
Anyways,
I never.
We got company, but before we get to the company, here's what I want to say, guys. So if this is your first time here, thank you so much for joining us. If you're a returner, you know that here on this show, our whole goal, man, is to empower fathers to be the best versions of themselves. And here's what I love, Kev, like. That gives us such latitude to do whatever we want. So, you know what I'm saying? We've talked about grief. We talked about, finances. We talked about divorce. We talked about marriage. We talked. So like, manhood. We talked about it all. Right. And like at the end of the day, man, the goal is to help dads be the best versions of themselves. Right.
Absolutely.
And so today, man, I'm really excited because we got Alan, we got Jessica, and I don't really know exactly where the conversation is going to go, but it's going to center around somewhere about anti-sex trafficking, anti-human trafficking. Is there a difference?
There are a couple different ways that you could be trafficked. One is the two big ones are sex trafficking. The other one is labor trafficking.
Okay. Don't get into that first. Y'all introduce yourselves.
Well, hello, everyone. It's great to be here, guys. My name is Alan Smyth. I'm the executive director for an anti-trafficking agency called Saving Innocence.
And that's Smyth with the Y, in case you guys are on the audio version.
That's right.
Jessica, talk to us.
Okay. Hi, I'm Jessica Midkiff. I work at Saving Innocence. I am a program development specialist and department liaison. I've been doing survivor advocacy over 10 years. Proud mom of a military baby, and I'm happy to be here.
Hey, 10 years. I love, you know what? I'm not gonna no shade, but I love the politically correct choice of words that she chose. What did you say? Survivor relief, survivor. I forgot what she said.
Survivor advocate. So
okay.
Survivor advocacy. Yeah.
I mean, that's the end of that right there. So, okay, jumping back into this. We got the introductions. Y'all know who y'all talking to. We're gonna get it. You know what? Alan, talk about the book real quick because I don't want to forget that.
Yeah, Jessica and I co-authored a book that was released a few months ago, and the title is Men Fight for Me. And it basically, I'm the main voice, if you will, like the main narrator of the book, kind of using my male voice to challenge men, challenge dads and men of all ages, boys of all ages, to see things that they maybe hadn't seen previously. And Jessica, we'll get into a little bit more of her background later, I'm sure. But I call her the secret weapon. And she brings the words to life, her with a number of other awesome ladies that are telling their stories throughout the book to make it real. I can talk to dads and men all day long, but on this particular topic, I need some lived experience experts to bring it to life. And so we partnered on this book, and we're pretty excited about it.
I love that, man. Where can they find it? Because you didn't say that.
Well, you can find it. It's for sale on Amazon. So you can just go right to Amazon, type in Men Fight For Me. But we would like you to add one step. Go to fightforme.net. It's a little website that we created. The book is a link there to buy it. But also there's other resources there. There's other links to the other amazing ladies that provided, intel to their websites and their books. And then Jessica and I have been filling up a little YouTube channel that's linked there where we're interviewing different people that are in the space, and particularly those that were in the book. And so we're just trying to keep the conversation alive and get everybody leaning into this important conversation. So go to fightforme.net, poke around, read everything, see everything, and buy the book.
I love it, man. I love it. What we'll do, man, we'll go ahead and we'll put that in the description in the show notes. So if it's on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, if you guys look in the description, those links, they will all be there. So you guys will forever live on eternity and be sponsored, not sponsored because we can't have sponsors like that without a little check in the Dads on Purpose land. But so you hit on something, and I don't know, Jessica or Alan, I don't know, whoever wants to answer this one, but what is the major role that dads that we play in the anti-trafficking role? And I know that's a big question. That's a huge question.
Well, why don't I start, Jessica? Then you can, from your perspective, you can maybe fill in some of the blanks. The major role in dads in the anti-trafficking space, was that the question?
Yeah.
Well, the biggest part of the problem of human trafficking and sex trafficking is men. By far the most buyers, by far the most sellers, it's men. Men are the problem. Mm-hmm. So in life, when you can identify what the problem is, whether it's something mechanical with your car or your house, or I had a little spot on my forehead earlier this year, the doctor didn't like it. He analyzed it. He said, that's a little piece of skin cancer. We're going to cut it out. Mm-hmm. So when you can identify and isolate a particular problem, you now have the opportunity to create a remedy that's effective. And so in this case, in the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world, which is human trafficking, men are the problem. So the role to answer that question is for men to stand up and be leaders in their community, to look in the mirror and have their life, their inward life, match and sync up with a non-exploitive culture that the weed of human trafficking grows out of. And so I need men to stand up, to rise up, to understand that whether you have actively participated in the problem of human trafficking, you at the very least have passively allowed it to happen right under your nose. And so this is on us, guys, all of us. And particularly those of you that are dads that are listening to this podcast, and probably mostly dads that are listening, your role starts right in your own home. Your young boys and your young daughters are desperate to get an authentic, powerful, positive version of masculinity, of manhood, of fatherhood, so they can know what to expect when they get a little bit older. And your little boys will know how to treat women, and your little girls will know how they should be treated. And you dads are the biggest classroom that they will ever have. And so I need dads to step up in their own home. Just start there. And then after that, go outward and change your community, because we're the problem.
Boy.
I mean, I'm really excited about this, and man, you're dropping some nuggets. Jessica, I want to direct this directly to you because I'm invested. I'm totally invested in the whole information, knowledge, understanding of human trafficking. Why? Because I have a 13-year-old, right? And the first thing I'm thinking about is like, dang, she's on the internet. Who's trying to get at her? Who's trying to get in her mind? Can I trust her to just be at school by herself? Can I trust her? You know, and I think through that because as time has gone on, I look back over my life as how free willy our parents were, right? It was just like, hey, go out, do what you do, be home before the lights turn on. And then now it's like, who are you going to be with? Where are you going to be? Do you have your phone on you? Am I tracking you? Can I tell where you're being and where you're going to go? I want you to really, because I really love the idea, the title of the book, Men Fight for Me. But what are we fighting for? And what does that look like? Because I hear human trafficking, and I really want you to illuminate in our eyes what's really going on. What are we fighting for? Like, because we're saying love our daughters and make sure they feel loved. And my fear is not that she doesn't feel the love here. My fear is that the world just looks a little bit better on the other side for her. And I want to make sure that I can kind of interpret what she's seeing into context of what is really going on. Yeah, because I know I don't know anything about human trafficking, but what I do know is her biggest influence are the people around her, not necessarily people she's living with. So that's just kind of, I know that sounded like a deep, but I just really wanted to.
Like, what was the question?
Well, the question is just like illuminating like human trafficking and what it is that, because like I said, like we're hearing it. Yeah. But when I talk to somebody one-on-one about human trafficking, my eyes was like, oh, wow. It's something that's really deeper than just people being snatched up out of the, out of a parking lot. Yeah. They're actually being fished into a system that's So I just want that illuminated from her perspective.
Pulled into it. I get what you're saying. Like, really, you have to look at it. It's a subculture. So people are like, oh, this isn't for real. This isn't blah, blah, blah. No, it's just not mainstream. But if you kind of notice, it's becoming mainstream. So if you look on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, every time you turn around, it's something glamorizing or glorifying exploitation, like the pimping culture. Or, you know, it's great for young girls to not be independent or have their own identities anymore. It's more so like, what can I get from the next person? So we're encouraging our young ladies to see themselves as sexual objects because the world already is sexually objectifying them. They've been sexually objectified since day one, especially girls of color, right? And so seeing that and seeing what they put out there, our children are stepping up and they're showing their bodies and they're going out of their way to you know, make it happen without thinking of picking up a book or going to school, furthering their education. That's not something that's reachable. It's not feasible for them, especially in a lot of these communities. But the thing is, it's going on everywhere, from the most affluent place in this country to the most poorest place in this country. I almost lost my words. Don't play with me. But pulling it back, a big part of it is like social media has just been a really big thing. So we had something before from back in the day, like you said, the lights come on, we come in. You know, with latchkey kids and all that kind of stuff, and that stuff is still happening. But the thing is, there are strangers coming into our bedrooms, into our houses every day, and have this opening to come in and say something to our kids. I don't know if we can say the games, but there's like the video games where you can like chat, like some of the really popular ones for little kids, where adults are hopping on and starting to groom kids into speaking to them, giving up information, where they live. Hey, send me a picture, so on and so forth.
Why can't you say the games? Is it because you don't want to tip people off or what?
Well, no, not tip people off, but I don't know how it kind of works out on y'all's end. I don't want y'all to.
Oh, no.
We don't care. Ain't nobody paying us.
We got to tell the truth.
Right, all right, you know. No, but Roblox is a really big one that the kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Bruh, I got shares in Roblox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of and now it makes sense that you said that, because of how addicting it is and how much time kids spend on there and interacting with other people. But I never really thought about what you just said.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
it never clicked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't, because we're looking at it from a lens of this is for children. We're not looking at it from the point of view of a deviant that's looking for a child to prey upon and to do whatever they want to do. And unfortunately, we live in a world. I mean, it was always bad in the world when we were coming up, obviously.
Dateline.
Yeah.
You know, AIM, ASL. My mama house.
My mama house. But it goes to the point of like, things are not the same anymore.
Yeah.
You know, it's socially acceptable. So a lot of guys will turn around and say, oh, I'm not a pedophile. You know, there's a breakdown that we kind of use within the realm of like our work is we have pedophiles that they like prepubescent children, hebophiles that like postpubescent children. And guess what is going on is we're seeing a lot of our 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and so on kids that are getting pulled into this. It's something where you got to constantly have conversations with your kids. I was a single mother. I had very few people in my support system that I could rely on to help me to make sure that my child didn't fall into the same crap that I fell into as a kid. And Alan's one of the guys that helped me out with my daughter's life, you know, with very few other people. But it's educating your kids. That's the biggest thing. You know, they don't want to have to talk about sex. They don't want to have to talk, you know, it's weird, you know, whatever the case is. But you still have to have those hard conversations. You have to get kids in tune with what's really going on. One of the best things I think I could have ever did was just educate my daughter every chance I got. And people are like, oh no, you're teaching her too early about, you know, contraceptives and this, that, and the other. No, I'm letting her know right off top, because there's some sucker out there that's probably going to try to get a hold of my child and take advantage of her.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so what I need to do is prepare my child for what's to come, unfortunately. I think it's within the United States, and I'm not that great with statistics because I kind of hate them a little bit. But, they're not always. They're not accurate.
They're skewed.
Yeah, they're skewed. But on average, there's at least one time in a young lady, a woman's life within the United States that she's going to be sexually assaulted or accosted. That's just like a rite of passage now, right? But we have to teach our young men that it's not okay to objectify and disrespect and whatever. And we have to teach our young ladies to love themselves and be in tune with themselves and to respect young men as well. The respect goes two ways. Men were born to be protectors. And we're seeing a lot of it where now a lot of stuff where men are not actually stepping up and being protectors. They're not standing into what I say is their birthright.
Yeah.
That is your right to be a protector.
Got it. Alan, so Jessica, you hit on something and I don't want people to gloss over. So you mentioned that Alan was one of the people that was there to support you, raising your daughter and things like that. Alan, what does that support look like? Like, and I don't know if the answer is particularly to those and so we haven't really said it, but we've alluded to it about Jessica's past, but someone that has been in that environment, as far as support, or is it just support in general for women? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think there are many different levels. My job description at my work, as well as just who I am as a man, is I'm going to try to fight for those who are voiceless, who need someone to come alongside them and protect them and fight for them in general. It just so happens that when I went to work for Saving Innocence, a few months into it, I met Jessica. And so we became, friends and colleagues pretty quickly. And just through that natural relationship, I met her daughter at the time was 15 or something like that, 14. Okay. And I mean, she could answer, what does it look like? But basically, I think us as men and as dads, I'm not trying to be her daughter's dad figure at all. I'm not trying to be Jessica's dad figure, but there's just normal, healthy, appropriate encouragement, affirmation. And if I can meet a tangible need along the way that otherwise wouldn't be met, then I'll say yes, whenever I can, however I can, because I can. And so, I mean, at this point, Jessica and her daughter are closer, more like our family than not our family. And they celebrate holidays with us, and they know my kids, and everybody knows everybody. And so,
but what did that look like? So real quick about me, I'm logical, I'm practical. Like, what do those steps look like? So you glossed over it. You didn't gloss over it, but you said, being there for them, you're going to fight for them. But like, what does that look like? Because at the end of the day, somebody else is like me and they want to know exactly like what that looks like. I mean, Jessica, you could jump in, you raising your fingers.
I'm gonna answer it because because Alan, the thing is with Alan too is he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. But the thing is, he does things out of his heart and he's not keeping tabs. So that's a really big part of it. And I didn't mean to cut it off, but let me sing a little bit. No, but it was just those things of being honest and transparent. When he approached me, it was palms up because I don't really trust men. I'm cool, I'm cordial, I know how I'm saucy and all that. But to get into my inner circle, I need to see something good within you. So if you're not it, you'll know it. Period. Yeah. And so he palms up and he's just, hey, I'm interested. I want to get to know you. I want to know. And at first I kind of gave him a little bit of a side eye, but I was like, no, like I'm going to get into him. And Alan, every step of the way is what he said he was going to do is what he did. He's never switched from the script. He's never promised anything that he can't uphold. And if somehow he still fell short, he still came with palms up. And so I know that that's general, but
no, that's good.
People need to understand there's a way that you can come to people and you can gain this. You don't have to be overly nice because I'm sorry, Alan, if you was overly nice, I'd be like, oh, no danger.
you know what? I mean, and this is going off topic. And I don't know if they listen to the podcast or whatever, but I mean, if they do, that's y'all fault. Like I can't stand people that do things more for the recognition than actually doing them. You know what I mean? Like, moving. What Lil Wayne say? Real G's moving silence like lasagna. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been to mission trips to Kenya, and the people that I was with, they brought shoes. Like, oh, praise God, y'all bringing shoes. to those less for, like, we landed in the middle of a dirt airstrip, like middle of nowhere, Kenya. Like, we, you know what I'm saying? And it bothered me in my soul. So, like, in the inner sanctum, that they wanted to take pictures of every person that was receiving shoes and then posted them on social media. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, so kind of like Alan, you know what I mean? Just approach with good intentions. Like, why can't people just do things just to do things? Why do you have to let the entire world know it? And so that's just me getting on a rant that I can't stand. And it's people that, you know what I'm saying, I went to Kenya with, yo, I love you to life, but it is what it is.
No, but that's good. I think that's very important. When I worked my years with Cozy Convos with Dr. G, my main purpose was to show women, like, I could be your brother without trying to intentionally be with you. Like, I just want to love on you. I want to support you. I want to hear your story. I don't want to overpower you. I want to be the help. And I think particularly in this setting of what we're talking, especially with human trafficking, I also can see, like, like you said, like you're like, dude, I've seen men and I know the characteristics. And so what you talking right now sounds good, but I need to watch you and I need to build this trust in you to make sure that you're here to really help me, because now I'm not just worrying about me. I got kids, I got people I'm connected to that I'm trying to protect. And even though that I seem like the strong woman now, like, I'm still vulnerable. And I think and it just reminds me of, even in those times when I was in this room with all these women and watching them be vulnerable and just seeing them, like, man, embracing me. And I'm just like, yo, I'm here. What you need me to do? I didn't even speak half of the time. It was just my presence being there. And seeing that, I think, is just very, very important, because you said another thing. You said that we have to really teach our young men, like, how to be men to our young ladies. And I even think back, like, I'm a 90s baby. You know, you had 2 Live Crew, Ice Cube, Ice-T. You know, man, we was, hey, girl, what's up, girl? What's your, hey, you know, and then even growing up in my crew, it wasn't like, it became from a little mama to start grabbing and being more aggressive to the women. And so even when I think back in those times in the clubs, on the street, I mean, headed to the Kappa, you know, I'm thinking about all of this stuff. It's like, man, the exposure that women get you know, it's not their fault that they look good, they look sexy, they want to show their bodies off. But then what are we setting in an atmosphere to allow them to be the women that they can be without being harassed early, not even knowing, right? I think they're being aggressive in approach, and it's like, they're not asking for this, but we're creating a society. So I think we do have a twofold situation where it's not just, you know, hey, dads, we have to do better, but also, dads, we have to raise young men who will help start making those connections to do better. My question is, because we talked a little bit about fishing and grooming, right? How do we, because I know I've seen young women and I've looked in their eyes and I've said, something's not right. When we recognize those things, because I know some of them have to be some people have to be in a place where they want to get help. Some people are in a place where they recognize that where they are is not right. And some people are just like, hey, I just got in this feels good. But I mean, so what are some things, guys, that we can do if we do recognize this or see someone in a position where we know they're really are asking for help, but how do we approach them, or how do we provide those, you know, warning signs? How do we approach those people?
Did you want to, Alan?
What are you talking? Are you asking me about what men or dads can do? Is that
yeah.
Anyone? Yeah, right. However, there's a lot in there to answer, and I just want to briefly, before I answer it, we talked about the video games. There's a lot of different video games that have everybody listening, talking to strangers around the world, and the FBI tells us there's 900,000 predators online, 900,000 predators. They're trying to get to know your 13-year-old daughter and masquerade as somebody else, put a different profile picture, say different things that isn't the person, lure her in one step at a time. And you know what a predator is? They hide in the bushes downwind, and when the weak, vulnerable one comes by, they pounce on that one. And so dads need to be aware of that and inspect the social media, inspect that cell phone you're paying for and you gave to your child. It's your phone. It's not their phone. Look at it. Find out
inspect the cell phone that you don't know about either, because they got burners.
That one too. Yeah. The one you know, I mean, coming back around to the current sort of question and thought here is my challenge to men is to be the right kind of man. It starts in your house and then it goes outward from there. So if you think about your own little daughter, I think you said you have a daughter 13 years old, Kevin. So think about how you're going to think about her, how you're going to care about her, how you're going to love her, how you're going to protect her. Like there's nothing that's going to get between the world and your daughter. It's got to go through you first.
Yeah.
So we're going to be there, be in that space now without being some kind of weird sort of over, compensating guy. Now just shift that. Now let's think about the families and the daughters in our community. And you're going to obviously talk to them differently than your own daughter, but you're going to have an eye open. You're going to see what's going on. And maybe your daughter's got some friends that are coming into your house and they're talking. Good chance, and I don't know any of your daughter's friends, but there's a good chance some of them don't have a good, healthy male at home. And so you now not only are being a great father for your daughter, you're being a father figure for those girls that are also watching you. The neighbors are watching.
That's good.
Down at the school, when you volunteer at something, they're all watching you to find out what's different. There's something different going on between Kevin and his daughter. I wonder what that is. And so it's stepping into that responsibility. And that's one of the pillars of masculinity that we talk about in the book. There's 4 pillars. And the first one is he accepts responsibility. A real man accepts responsibility. Not only it starts in his own home, but now it goes to his neighbors, his community, his city, his state, the world. Like, let's jump into this, guys, because men are the problem. We got a bunch of weak, passive, idiot men they've abdicated their role as father. They've abdicated their role as a healthy, positive male. They're out living their life in some other stupid way. And in the middle of it, it's the destruction of our children.
Yeah.
And they're left at the mercy of these guys recording song lyrics that talks about them like commodities, like abusive, demeaning, degrading. Like if we don't step up into our own kids and the kids that are in our orbit, the kids that we're naturally around, they're left at the mercy of. I mean,
Alan, I'm glad you're not soft-spoken. I mean, no shade, like 100%. Like I'm so glad because like there's some people. I'm gonna probably clip that up, by the way. But there's people out there that it only takes a little bit of a spark. You know what I mean? Like it only takes a little bit of a motivation. But when you hear Alan speak and the passion, the tenacity, like you hear that, like he's just like, yo, like this isn't like a game to him. He's just like, yo, like I'm in the fight. I need you to get in with the fight with me because let's just be real. Like if you're the best soldier on the battlefield, you're gonna get tired. Yeah. And if you get tired and you go ahead and you sit on the bench for a little bit, you're probably gonna lose the war. Like let's just keep it 100. But if we got 100, now we can take turns, and now we can make sure that we're gonna win this. I'm a pivot, and Alan told me to ask open-ended questions, and so I don't know where this one's gonna go. But Jessica, I want to know what happened to you.
Okay, what happened to me?
Yeah.
All right, we're just gonna jump on in then.
Yeah. No. Like we're not putting on shoes, warmers, nothing. We're just getting right to it because
okay, straight to it. Okay, cool.
Like we 30 minutes in. We good.
We good. All right, we good. Let's do this. I'm ready. Let's do it.
I like how she y'all. If y'all can't see, she pulled a ponytail, like put some Vaseline on, and if y'all not hood, y'all don't know what the Vaseline for. But anyways,
yeah. So don't make fun of me. So a lot of my or a good portion of my story is in the book. So folks, make sure you pick it up. And there's a lot of stories from my survivor sisters in there. But just to give you guys a little bit of a recap is I am a survivor of commercial sexual exploitation. So we use the acronym out here. It's CSEC, which is commercially sexually exploited children or child. Yeah. Which is in turn a part of human trafficking. I started out very young, and I went through a lot of abuse early on. The earliest I can remember was about 3 years old. I did not have my father in the house for different reasons. I stayed between family members' house, especially like my grandparents' house. Like, who wasn't raised by their grandma, you know?
Right.
I love my grandma. And just kind of moving forward, there were a lot of vulnerabilities that I had, like basically that left me open to everything. I was the latchkey kid. I was the kid that suffered, you know, sexual, physical, emotional, mental, all kinds of abuse. I was the kid looking to connect and be with someone and have like the camaraderie, the companionship and all of that. And shoot, I was in between 10 and 11 years old when I first started actually working, like getting commercially sexually exploited. So sex in exchange for money or sexual favors in exchange for money. It went on and off for years. I got pregnant early on. The guy that I got pregnant by was my boyfriend at the time. And I was not able to escape the life until I was 20 years old, a few days before my 21st birthday. And it was still bumpy after that. And I still didn't have all the support that I needed and that I was looking for. And I was thirsting and hungering for. And ended up going through different types of exploitation for a few more years. And then, you know, kind of fell into this work. I went to school for nursing and kind of fell into this work with volunteering and then just never left. You know, I think when I volunteered, I started with adults, all that identify as female, so cisgender and transgender. And then I moved my way into working with the kids. And that was kind of connected through LA County probation, where they needed some survivors to come speak to children in the juvenile halls and camps. And I was one of the, for Southern California, one of the only kind of like active younger survivors that they thought kids would kind of listen to. And it just kind of stuck. But, you know, I went through a lot in them streets. You know, I was in it until they started posting online. So the posting online, that's not like a new thing from, for the past 5 years or 10 years. It's longer than that. You know, it just looked a little different. And then so basically I went through everything that I went through. And I used to always say, like, why am I going through this? Like, why me? I must have been a horrible person in the past life or whatever the case is. Yeah. But I believe that, you know, I think I was built for this. I wasn't built to be used and abused and bought and sold, but I was built to take on whatever I needed to take on my shoulders. So then I could go ahead and spread that and share that with kids that are in the system or not in the system. Yeah. You know what I mean? And do my part that way. Is the work aging me? Heck yeah, because dealing with human beings is hard. But
in any capacity.
But, you know, I do my part. And I mean, the movement, everything is so much bigger than me. But I feel peace when I come in at the end of the day and I've done my part, no matter what that looks like. And then, you know, we have great folks like Alan and so many people at our agency that, you know, we work with and our community partners. And so I kind of went on, but that's...
No. You're good. Alan, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, just for the benefit of your audience that are just learning about this, maybe for the first time. Yes, Jessica tells a lot of her life in chapter 2 of the book. So read the book. But we're interacting with survivors all the time. Some of them are our great friends. Jessica and I's mutual friend. And one in particular shares her story that from 11 to 15, in her words, I was forced to sleep with between 7 and 15 men every single day. And she said by the time I was 12 years old, I had already been raped 4,000 times. Those are her words. So this is the life that we're talking about. Jessica gave a very sanitized version. We're talking about the youngest little kiddo that we take care of at Saving Innocence. We met her a couple years ago. She was 7 years old. We're not talking about Thailand and Cambodia or Africa or any of that. We're talking about U.S.-born American citizens, our kids in our communities. The average age of entry is around 12. That's the average age, so you know what that means. And they literally are raped thousands of times. By the time we meet these kids, these teenagers, they've already literally had 10,000 or more their rapes. They don't want to be there. Non-consensual sex is a rape. So this is beyond even comprehension of what we are allowing to happen. Okay. We're allowing this to happen. We are allowing this to happen.
So it's really I think it's really hard for me because I think back of the work that I did in East Side Fort Worth, and we did this campaign at a school, and just to hear the stories, because it was just like it was an opportunity for teachers to kind of get a peek into the background and the history of the kids and the students, and just to hear like what really bothered me was 9 times out of 10 is starting from within the family, and we're talking about fathers stand up, but in our lower economic communities, it's like, well, my cousin raped me, or my uncle raped me, or it's even happening to where it's like, it's my cousin passed me off to my other cousin, my cousin told my uncle, and my uncle got me, and then now they've been entrapped in this life from when they were 5 all the way to their even one instance, I think is just detrimental. And I my heart just really, as I hear these stories and I hear this, it always touches me, because I know it's something that she didn't ask for. It's not something she just came in and was like, yo, I want to experience this life. And it's like it's forced upon them. And so I'm really encouraged on like what Alan said earlier, as men, as fathers, like we can't just do good in our own homes. Like we have to take what we're doing in our homes, and we have to check on those next to us in our community and even in our churches. Like those, that's even a whole nother, story of Box of Worms. But my heart just really breaks, because I know this is happening not just in third world countries, and we're like this is happening right in our neighborhood. I believe Fort Worth, Texas is just releasing some human trafficking information where we're becoming to be one of the top counties in our state for human trafficking.
Kev, do you know the FBI? Like I think the statistic is 90% of the Asian-run massage parlors in DFW are fronts for brothels. 90%. Yeah, and so I know that because I've talked to some others that are doing a lot of work in this area, and that's how I found out about this. I was like, yo, that's crazy. And you said something, Kev, like we got to make sure like a lot of this is starting with family members as well. But I don't want us to glance over it, and I'm not giving anybody a pass, but we got to look at those that are violators. Is violators the right word? We'll say violators. We got to look at those that are violators and understand their past too, because I know some people that are super close to me that they were abused by their brother. Well, their brother was abused by their dad.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of like a learned trait. And I'm not giving anybody a pass, but I think, again, it goes back to men stepping up and being those leaders. So is it really like the majority of them start with family members? Like, is that really like how a lot of it starts, especially in our community? Because what happens is, we start asking questions like, oh, what's wrong with Uncle so-and-so? Oh, we don't talk about Uncle so-and-so. We just leave that alone. We don't talk about, what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I'm wondering, is it really like, does it usually start in that area or no?
A lot of abuse starts early on with someone close to the family or someone within the family. I wouldn't say so much of commercial sexual exploitation. And
what does that mean? Is that like, because when I think about that, I think about the red light district, or I think prostitution, or what? I don't know. What is commercial sexual exploitation?
Commercial sexual exploitation is what people would think of as prostitution. But the thing is, choice is removed because children cannot legally consent to any act of anything in exchange for nothing. Prostitution is exchanging sex or a sexual act in exchange for something of value or monetary gain.
So commercial has to deal with children.
Someone being sold. Commercial is just being sold.
Okay.
Commercial sexual exploitation of children. So basically being bought and sold, and there's no choice. And what people have to understand too is that we have to make sure that we understand that most people are not choosing. Even the adults that we see are not choosing. Usually it's certain things that are laid out in front of them, and they have to pick and choose with what's given to them. And so just kind of keeping that in mind too, because people are like, oh, poor people overseas, they ain't got no choice. They ain't got no choice here either. A lot of adults too, these kids grow into adults that have no skills, they're not getting therapy, they're coping in different ways, and they're stuck in this unending wheel, this nonstop wheel of being abused and exploited. So I don't even refer to women or men that are out there, adults, as prostitutes or that they're engaging in prostitution. I say that they're commercially, sexually exploited people, persons, adults, so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
And yes, there are some that will say, hey, this is my choice. I respect it. If you need some help, we here. You know what I mean? But overall, I don't refer to anyone as a prostitute or anything that's been done as prostitution. I usually stick to the commercial sexual because it's not a full-blown choice.
Yeah.
Got you. See, look, learning. Learning.
Oh. But
Kev, you was about to say something, man. I cut you off. My bad.
Did you? I mean, it's just.
I know you don't forget.
No, it's just hard. Like I just, because like you said, it's just so many pieces to it where I could see like even just where you don't have a choice. Like you were saying, they don't have any skills, they don't have anything to fall back on, and I'm thinking about students right now. I've recently been in touch with a few of my students, and like they're telling me how they're living in extended stays, and now I'm starting to connect all these, like, man, they're trying to survive, but their skills don't allow them to make a good living. So now if they're getting introduced, like, hey man, if you do this, I'll pay for your room for this week.
Right.
So it's like it's even starting to like resonate with me, even back to, because one of the things the reason why I love helping young men in the community is because we turn 18, get out my house. Well, now it's even resonating with like we need to be there even more for them, to support them and say, hey man, whatever you need at this moment, you got a place to stay and eat at least until we can get you in a place where you can sufficiently take care of yourself, so you won't be lured into this lifestyle, because it's not that you're a bad person, but now they presented something where you cannot refuse. Mm-hmm. So it's touching. I'm encouraged. I want to do more. What can we do? But I know but I know just the education on this. Number one, I'm really concerned, and I want to challenge every parent. Check your kids' social media, check what they're on, check who they're talking to, and check their friends. Like, because we never know where the influences are coming from, and have the tough conversations. Mm-hmm. Like Jessica said, like Alan, and then what Alan said, man, just be a man, be a father. Like, man, but I'm just like, man, what else can we, whatever else, man, I want to open up the floor and just be like, man, what are some key things that you guys think as fathers that we can hold on to as we start uncovering and discovering this topic? What are some things that we can really keep to our heart, to where we can say, man, this is some things that we can start keeping our eyes on? As I'm looking at the young girls in my church, as I'm looking at the young girls that my kid is dealing with, what are some key things that we can kind of be looking for some good information?
Well, the good news is, Kevin, is that it's not a very high bar for us to jump over to be a good man. Like, the bar has been set so incredibly low by idiots that are out there with bad intentions, sending song lyrics out into the world that are demeaning and degrading women and sex. I mean, it's not a big jump for a man to look a woman or a girl in the eye and say, it's great to meet you, thanks for coming, or good to see you, and not want anything in return. Now, you think about that. For a bunch of good men to go out there and interact with women and girls, younger girls, and not want anything in return, it's revolutionary. And so what I tell, we have about 4 or 5 men now that work at Saving Innocence. For the longest time, it's just me. And we hired one at a time. And I always sit them down early on, and I put the fear of the Lord in them. I said, listen, Jack, let me just tell you, the shortest employment you'll ever have in your life is if you walk in through that door and the girls in that room get some kind of a vibe that you're somehow trying to get a date or something. I said, it'd be safer to go play in the freeway. I'm telling you that right now. And so for us as men, and I say we have an incredible opportunity to rewrite the narrative. Mm-hmm. The narrative is, Jessica said it earlier, some high percentage, whatever the percentage is, of women that will be sexually assaulted in their lifetime before they're 18. It's going to happen to most of them. So we get an opportunity to rewrite the narrative, to treat women and girls with respect, with honor, with dignity, to stand up against those who don't. I mean, it's like I said, there's so many predators and just knuckleheads out there. You dads that are listening, you will stand out in the best way possible by not being that. Now lean into that and grab a couple of your buddies and get a little guys group, have breakfast once a week and talk about it. Get your sons, do a father-son thing, do a father-daughter thing, do all those things. You mentioned earlier, Kevin, that you were kind of like, I'm doing the best job I can with my daughter, but I don't want the world to look, sort of a certain way, like maybe more attractive to her or something like that. And I'd say that we've heard over and over again from child trafficking survivors. They're not running to something, they're running from something. And so if we really do a great job at home, it doesn't mean everything's gonna be perfect. Doesn't mean there's not gonna, she still has to make her choices. But when home is a place that they feel warm and accepted and comfortable and affirmed and loved and protected, they're not gonna want to be running out looking for anything else. We've heard that over and over and over again. Not a shameless plug, but
hold on, Kev. Hold on. He got a shameless plug. Hold on, man. Let him plug his plug.
My bad.
Then we're coming back to you, Kevin. But I mean, honestly, the proceeds from the book are going to benefit survivors of trafficking. All these wonderful, there's 6 of them that gave a lot of their story. Jessica, one of them in the book. And so the proceeds are going to benefit those wonderful lived experience experts. And there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Here's what you can do. In the back appendix, here's 12 things you can do today. Chapter 8, there's a whole look in the mirror. There's a big macro stuff, society. Here's what we got to do. There's micro stuff in your home, in your life, in your family, the kind of father you are. So we're really trying to create a resource. Like, what do I do? Get the doggone book and get it for all the men you know, and then have a little book club and read through it. And we're going to answer a ton of questions. I promise you.
That's good.
Jessica, what you got?
Oh, no, it's a hard going up behind Alan. I get just to kind of leave it off, of course, everything that's been said today has been great. I think one of the biggest things too is when I was getting out of the life and getting into this work and everything like that, for a long time, I constituted weakness as vulnerability and vulnerability as weakness. And so I want our kids to know that being vulnerable with the right people in the right situations is powerful. That's where you can draw a lot of your strength. And unfortunately, in places that I grew up, the masculinity looked a little different. You know what I mean? A lot of people were not vulnerable unless they had an angle. So, you know what I'm talking about? So, but I really just encourage people to pick up this book. And not because I've contributed or Alan's contributed or, I love all these people and like all these people that are in this book, but there's some really good information. And if it's hard to have a conversation with your kid, you can take this book and take piece by piece and talk to your kids in an age appropriate manner, no matter what it is, and really start to make a change. And we as parents have to stop being afraid to have those hard conversations and stop being afraid of not being the cool parent. I'll be your friend when you're grown. But if you step on the line, I'm still going to get in that butt. You know what I mean? So my kid knows. She's grown now. So, but, just kind of looking at those things, if there were, I always like to say and leave it with, if there were more healthy men surrounding me, I don't think I would have ever gone through what I've gone through, or at least the amount of what I have gone through. And so we really have to step up and we have to say something. We have to do something. If people are looking for more information on human trafficking, commercial sexual exploitation, whatever, you can go to savinginnocence.org. That's our organization where we work. And we've got videos, we've got all kinds of print, everything you need, links. If you want to know how to do something and get involved and you're like, hey, and Alan will probably plug this too, but I'm jumping up. You can go ahead and push that donate button. And there are different packages and different things that definitely do go to the children. So as a survivor myself, I'm not working for an organization that is not giving back to our kids. I'm going to tell you that right now. Yes. or, you know, if you can donate services or whatever it is. There's many different ways to make a difference, make a change, be a part of the solution, get out of being a problem, and definitely go back to the fightforme.net. And there's some great conversations there too. The best thing you could do is equip yourself and educate yourself. You know what I mean? And that's the best way to do it. Educate yourself. I understand ignorance is bliss. Right? You heard people be like, ignorance is bliss. Hell no. I'm here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is what me and Alan do. Tag team. We're busting bubbles. Boop, boop, boop. But, you know, just at the end of the day, stand up and say something. If you see something, say something. You don't have to put yourself in danger. Call 911. Call the child abuse hotline. Call something. Call someone. That one thing can save someone's life. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't for certain people when I was escaping the life, that it was a guy, it was a shop owner, and he saw me and I was running. And he said, do you need some help? And I kind of looked at him like, what? You know, ready to go there. But he was like, I don't want nothing from you. Gave me a phone, helped me get out of what I was in, and I was able to go into a program. Sometimes the smallest things you say can change the whole path of a child, of a person's life. You know what I mean? So I'm blessed that I'm here today because someone did decide to step up and say something. Someone did decide to help. Let's help our kids. You know,
that's good. And you know what? I usually kind of introduce the final thoughts, but I felt like we already did the final thoughts on that part. Kev, I'm gonna let you run, but I wanna put something out there because I'm gonna forget it because, you know, my ADHD, you know what I'm saying, squirrel. Look, the cat might come to the door again, and I don't know. Anyways, but the big homie David Shands, he said something on his podcast the other day. If you guys don't know him, look him up. Social Proof Podcast, David Shands. But he was talking to one of his assistants, and he told his assistants, he was like, hey, he's like, save up some bread. He's like, we're gonna go shopping. And he was like, you know, save up like $3,000, whatever, we're gonna go shopping. And his assistant said, that's a lot of money. And Dave was like, yo, don't ever tell nobody that ever again. He's like, even if it is a lot of money, don't ever say that's a lot of money. Because what you do when you tell somebody that that's a lot of money, now that they can dangle that in front of your face, and you would do whatever you want for that money. And the whole purpose of me saying that is we have to create so much value in our kids that whether no amount of money, no amount of attention, no amount of anything can be dangled in front of their faces, guys. And so I would just say that create that value in your kids that, what was it? There's a saying that's like, yo, fill your kid's bucket up so much that no amount of holes can poke it out and drain it and blah, blah, blah. I didn't mess up the quote, but y'all know what I'm saying. Kev, what you got?
Before we get out of here, because I know I'm biased because I have a girl, but do we know the numbers of young men who are being pulled into human trafficking? Because I don't want to leave here thinking like, oh, just girls are getting pulled into human trafficking. And I know for a fact that there are young men, especially when it comes to Black men missing, the numbers are rising even higher in America as far as Black males missing. Yeah. So is there like any statistics that you guys have to share just for men being brought into
as victims?
As victims, yeah.
We would say that definitely little boys and men are exploited in the way that we're discussing right now. It might look a little different. Just on our database at Saving Innocence, it's historically about 95% girls and about 5% boys. But we also know that there are more boys being exploited than we know about, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
A lot of these little girls are very verbal. They'll talk. Someone will ask them, hey, that happened to me too. Boys, for whatever reason, feel a greater sense of shame and embarrassment if someone's been violating them in that way, and they won't talk as much. So we know that that's true. The majority is girls, but absolutely boys and men are also exploited in this way as well.
They're super high demand. I'm not going to go too long, just piggybacking off of Alan. Boys are in super high demand. And one of the big things that we've noticed is we have like a lot of boys that are trying to identify who they are with their sexuality, and they're coming into their own. And you have some heterosexual boys that are being brought into, same-sex exploitation. And a lot of them are afraid to report it because they think that they're going to be seen as a part, as being gay. I don't know if that's politically correct. But, also too, we also have the rape thing and everything too, where boys feel as though they're weak and they deserved it or whatever it is for whatever reason that they were raped. So they don't ever speak up or talk about it. Then you have a high number of boys that are being molested and raped by women, because women are predators too. Let's not forget that. Wow. And usually in society, they're getting high five for sleeping with the older woman. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of non-disclosure, or there's like a lot of gray area. And, Alan kind of spoke to that too. And, just kind of going along those lines. And, we support the boys, whether they're hetero or they're a part of the LGBTQ plus community, but the thing is, the boys, they're getting their voices taken because of this toxic masculinity line that they have to reach. They can't ever cross. And so I hope that made sense.
No, that's good. That was.
I'd be like, I know boys, because I think about Lecrae, and when you read his book, talking about Unashamed, and how he talks about when he was 8 years old, like his babysitter was making him do some things, and he didn't. I don't think he came out with it until he wrote the book. I mean, he's a grown man now. But Kev, go ahead. Sorry.
No. I just wanted to make sure that we did discuss that briefly here in our podcast, just because I know we heavily speak on the young ladies and the women who fall into victims into that. But man, really, I just really want to thank both of you guys coming on and illuminating the everything. And men, we have to fight for our daughters. We have to fight for our young ladies. We have to fight for our men, our young men. And we just have to be present and just really take the work. And it's been one of the things that's been closest to my heart too, as a father and as a community advocate, is whatever I could do at home, let me duplicate it in the community, because I never know who I can touch. I never know who I could help save and who may be needing that help. So definitely, man, we getting that book, man. We need to start some book clubs. Make sure you sign up. Make sure you go to the website, donate however you can, because our communities are depending on us more than ever, especially in these times where we don't know who's, man, y'all got me right now. I'm going to go in there and snatch the iPhone, the iPad, and the laptop. She going to sleep with nothing in that room tonight. But it's just one of those things that we really have to just be aware, and we really need to take control. Like, I just remember being on Clubhouse, and I'm done after this. I just remember being on Clubhouse, and they were saying, oh, what should I do with my kid? Man, snatch that stuff out of their hand. We have to take control. We can't just let them be vulnerable to those things that's meant to hurt them. And that's what I love too, Jessica, is that we really have to show them that vulnerability is not weakness. To me, that's even with young ladies, because I know my little girl doesn't like asking for help, but I have to show her vulnerability is not a weakness, but with the right people, it could be something that could strengthen her and build her up. So, man, we got to step up, and we got to do the work so that we can make sure that we're building strong communities. Can't be building half communities and not saving, those who are in silence needing our help.
Yeah.
Hey,
can I just 2 more things? Because I don't want you to go into give me all your stuff and shut down.
Yeah. Oh, no. I was actually about to open the floor and say I was going to give y'all some time to say whatever it is you want to say before we go.
Yeah.
Great.
Just educate, have conversation, and, make sure that you're a parent that she can come to and talk to, even if you get mad. And so I have to talk to my daughter about the difference between being mad, frustrated, disappointed, what that looks like. And it's not the end of the world, because you try to snatch a kid's phone and iPad nowadays. I'm dying. Take me to the hospital. You can't do that. So I used to punish my daughter. I don't know if you knew, Alan. Instead of taking her devices, I'd take her charger, and I'd be like, figure it out. I'm just saying that was one way, but I'm just saying, have the conversations. I used to do random phone checks and stuff like that too. And you're not going to get everything, but that's where you educate your kids. Mm-hmm. If they know that it's wrong or they've gone a little too far, you still want to have the established trust between you and your child, where they come to you and say, okay, I messed up. All right. You're going to be, I got to discipline you, but I got you. I love you. I care about you. Let me tell you why. And I come from a generation where they don't explain to you why you're getting disciplined. You just getting disciplined.
Yeah.
That's it. So the big conversation and I'm off topic. My bad.
No.
I was talking about the discipline.
Discipline is still key. I don't care what anybody says. I'm old school. So discipline, but
you're on the wrong podcast.
Sorry. But
no, it's fine. You know, I can listen to different opinions and still, anyways, keep going. Sorry.
I'm just saying, but just explaining to your kids, education is key. Conversation is key. Listening to your kids is key. You know, putting time restraints or however you do your household is how you do your household, but trying to be in tune with what your kid is doing, you know, and not being like a pirate, you know, like a Captain Hook or what, you know, just be there with your kids. Don't accept the nonsense, but still give a little opening for them to communicate, because that may save their lives too. So,
and we need to emphasize that, be involved with your kids. People, it's like, I really believe a lot of our households, even in our good households that mean well, I wonder how really involved are we with what they're doing with social media and et cetera, et cetera. So really take that to heart, guys. Really get involved with that, with your kids and their social media. Phone check.
I was just going to say, Alan.
Yeah.
You got anything?
I do. I got two quick things here. The biggest mistake that us dads could make is hearing some of this and realizing, wait a minute, my child hasn't been sexually abused at ages 3, 4, and 5. My kid's not in the foster system. I'm a good dad and all that. So this conversation is not for me, right? And the answer is no, it's exactly for you. As we've already talked about, all these kids are vulnerable. If they're old enough to have any kind of a social media account, they're vulnerable. There's predators out there, guys. So dads, step up and have bigger eyes than just your family, but make sure your family's in order. We are talking to you. And then the last thing I'll say is from the title of the book, Jessica was speaking at an event on Saturday at a church years ago, a panel talking about human trafficking. And the woman sitting next to her's name was Rachel. And I didn't know Rachel at the time. Since then, she's become a friend, and she actually wrote chapter 3 of our book in her voice, sharing her story. And what's important, and it goes along with what I just said, that dads, we are talking to you. She came from a great 2-parent household, suburbia, professional parents, 4.0 student, star on the soccer team, went away to college. Right now, she sounds like my daughter. Like, everything is great. And in her words, she said, I had the childhood every kid should have. She got approached by a fraudulent modeling agency. Well-spoken guy in a 3-piece suit with a business card, got her some modeling gigs. Everything was legit. She signed on. She gave her parents' home address, which was her home, her address that she lived at school, her roommates there, and her soon-to-be known as a trafficker was threatening her life and the life of her parents. I'm going to kill your parents and your roommate if you don't do exactly what I say. And then she was now swept into this world. And this is a good kid. This is a great kid with a great head on her shoulder. Now, what's she going to do? Think of your own kid. What would they do? Like, my parents are going to die, and they will. These guys aren't playing. These are lethal. This is a brutal experience that's happening. So here's the point. She says this in the middle of all her trauma. She says that day, I could no longer fight for myself. I needed someone to fight for me. And the hair on the back of my neck stood up. Here's a trafficking survivor right now is telling me that she gave up. She waved the white flag. She saw no way out. She began to have suicidal thoughts. I couldn't fight anymore. I needed someone to fight for me. And right there, that's where this book was born. That Saturday afternoon, it was like, I'll fight for you. I'll fight for you and you and you. And I'm going to see how many good men I can get to fight with me. This is an actual fight. We've had a number of our kids murdered in the last year. Murdered. And Saving Innocence kids that we're taking care of. This is not play. This is serious stuff that's happening. And there's a number of survivors. Who knows what that number is? Hundreds of thousands of survivors that have given up. This is my life. I need someone to fight for me. So I'm calling all you men and all you dads, get off the bench, get in the game, and enter this fight. We need you. And more importantly, they need you.
Bro, that's it. I usually try to end it on a lighter note, but damn. No, but seriously, man, we appreciate you guys so much. Like, it's not an easy conversation to talk about, but you guys make it easy to talk about. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's the way it should be in general. Like, we should be able to have these conversations about things that are really going on in our world, in our cities, in our communities, in our neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, yo, we should be able to talk about this. Y'all, if you guys are still listening, y'all go to the website, saveinnocense.net, correct?
Savinginnocence.org.
Savinginnocence.org. I got it all wrong. Cool. It's in the description.
Fightforme.net.
Fightforme.net. It's in the description. Yo, y'all check it out, man. We thank you guys so much. Like the podcast, share the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the channel, because if you don't, I'm not going to do anything. But subscribe to it. We love you guys. Thank you so much. God bless. Take care.
Peace.